Welcome to 1407 Malkin Lane. This is the living memory of the X-Men. Don't let anyone tell you different. Okay, I am with my friend, Alex. She is hilarious. We spent like a half an hour before talking everything X-Men. Just saying we like everything except what we were going to talk about. And how back man, I mean, I'm thinking I should have recorded it and just put it all together, but
you can't go back in time and record something that was not recorded, or does this application do that? I mean, I don't know.
No, it does not. It does not. But
can't do it again.
Thank you, Alex, for thank you for coming. This is
of course. Thank you for
hey, this is like your X-Men knowledge is very deep, and I appreciate that because
no, it is not. I don't know why you have that. So like I have been reading X-Men comics for a long time. I am old, so that's true. But as I discussed sometimes from the other show, X of Words, which is kind of where we know each other from, I'm actually I'm very here for the vibes when it comes to X-Men. I do have a certain amount of like institutional knowledge and a little bit of, wiki memorization going, but I'm not as, let's put it this way, compared to people who I know who like really, really know their shit, I only kind of know my shit. But I'm here to have strong opinions.
You have a vague recollection, like,
right.
Yeah, he did get shot that one time.
Right. I have a lot of very strong opinions based on things that I vaguely remember that may or may not even be accurate, that possibly happened in the movie or one of the cartoons, but I don't care. I'm still right.
Fair. What? So even if you're wrong, you could have been right. So that way you're never wrong.
Funny how that works. That's my mutant powers. And we talk about this over on the Discord. My what do they call them? Not interdimensional. Your variants. I don't know what Earth we're supposed to be. It's 12. It's like 1219, I think.
Right.
Quote me on that. Or don't quote me on. It's like because I want to say I remember that it's supposed to be like Jordan White's birthday, and I want to say it's 12, either 06 or 19. I read this on a wiki somewhere. Whatever this Earth is, I'm the Earth that of Iska the Unbeaten.
Okay. Well, you bring up Jordan White. He made in my distance. Like he looks like a propaganda piece for what a dwarf is supposed to look like.
This is your show. I'm just gonna let you go off. You
can... He looked like a dwarf.
Whatever. I mean, never mind. Let me not start.
No, this is a safe space. Like, no, I'm not.
No. I mean, it's not that I'm unwilling to talk shit. It's just that. So we're recording this not too long after I guess it was announced that Jordan White will be leaving the X office and Tom Brevoort, the Avengers man, is coming in. And people have a lot of strong feelings about this. I don't, to be honest. But like, while I'm not necessarily like celebrating Jordan White leaving, I'm not sad about it either.
Oh, no. It's not because he's leaving. It's just like everything he said in the past. Like, it's like he's like, I'm a Spider-Man guy. Then why aren't you on Spider-Man? Does make it make sense? I come from a logical place.
I mean, you do the job you're asked to do, not the job you want sometimes. So,
fair. Okay. First question for you was, when did you get into X-Men? Like, what is your earliest memory?
Yes. And I wish I had my unlimited right in front of me because I saved the issue. So my mother in particular kind of taught me to read on comic books. She was from that like generation of kind of hippie parents where, and I think this is actually like a good policy. When you have a young child, whatever it is that they want to read, as long as it gets them reading and it gets them like learning some new
Thinking.
vocabulary and just thinking, like, let them do it. And she, you know, latched on to like Spider-Man comics very early. And I also had a couple of teachers in elementary school that was the same thing. They were like, yeah, comic books are actually like pretty good for a kid to learn how to read because it'll keep them engaged, but they have very adult vocabulary. So I mostly learned how to read on Spider-Man comics. And at some point, I remember, I guess I would have been probably like kindergarten, first grade. I don't know exactly how old, but pretty young. I got some issue of, I want to say, Web of Spider-Man that guest starred the like early 80s X-Men. Nightcrawler, Colossus, and maybe Cyclops, maybe Professor X, like were in it, post Giant Size, but like either way, whoever it was, there were like a couple of characters, and very quickly I was like, who are these people? And this was the early 80s. This is pre-internet. This is maybe not pre-comic book stores, but kind of pre my understanding of comic book stores. So you got to remember, like at that time, when you saw some new shit,
like
Spider-Man,
stores,
right? You kind of
like Walmart and stuff. Like
exactly. I was getting them out of the little spinner rack in the grocery store, at, you know, the drugstore or whatever. So then it's like you have to go back to the grocery store later, and if your mom is willing to buy you some comic books, you pick up whatever X-Men happens to be there. Or like I was really big on I guess they don't do those this much anymore, the guide books that were basically like a printed wiki, because those were great because that's how you could get like a lot of information on a lot of different comic books and characters all in one. And a lot of times I would never read those books. So like going back to what you were saying about my X-Men knowledge, especially when it comes to my outside of X-Men Marvel knowledge, I have like a cursory understanding of everything that would have been in one of those handbooks for about a 15-year span, but I didn't read not a damn one of those Avengers books ever. Like ever.
No,
Even as that bullshit.
You know, my uncles got me into the comics from my grandmother, and they tell me now, like, we never read the Avengers. They're like, somebody bring the Avengers, like, this is the X-Men household, nigga.
The Avengers weren't shit back then. This is the thing that everybody forgets, that like before, when they made those first Iron Man and Captain America movies, they made those movies because those were the licenses that the other studios didn't want, because nobody gave a fuck about the Avengers. And that's why, you know, not to get too far off topic on this, but like whenever the X-Men eventually do make their way to the MCU, and we don't have to start speculating too much, but whenever that is, I hear a lot of people kind of like concerned about, oh, they're going to start changing the comics to make them like the movies. You know how they do. I say bring it on. All the Avengers shit is way better post-MCU. All the Guardians of the Galaxy is way better post-MCU. Captain Marvel. The who now?
It should have been the Starjammers.
Well, I mean, that's a whole other.
I know, licensing, but like Starjammers are more interesting.
Absolutely. But I guess my point just being like, even Black Panther, low key, Ta-Nehisi Coates started a lot of that, but Black Panther has been better post MCU. So at the end of the day, like, I don't know why people are so terrified that the X-Men are going to change. Obviously, it depends on what changes they make, but like the MCU gave us Black Nick Fury. Way better than white Nick Fury. Who the fuck cares about him anymore? Like, Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark, and now Tony Stark is basically that character in the comic books, and it's better. Even Captain America, they haven't changed as much to match the MCU version, but I see them in some shit now trying to do a little bit of a better job of like, because the Chris Evans version of Captain America was kind of a model for how a liberal could be Captain America within the bounds of what they were going to do in a Disney movie. And I know they always want to do that in the comic books. I automatically can't get down with Captain America because he's Captain fucking America. But like, I know that they always wanted to be like, no. He's a Democrat. He just, you know, has a duty. No. Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about X-Men.
Right. No, real quick. I look at Captain America. He's a white person who is like conflicted. Like he knows mutants. He knows like those are his people. Like he's cool with them. If he was invited to a mutant cookout, he wouldn't go because he knows that's a mutant safe space, and he wouldn't want to disrupt that mutant safe space. But job, the Avengers, I like tell him like, hey, you gotta watch him. So he's like, I want to mess up my money, but they're my people too. And like,
I mean, listen, he didn't have any problem popping out of one of Egg's eggs, so I think you might be giving him a little too much credit on the cookout. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I get. Okay, my next, your X-Men pitch. Who would you like if you had to pitch an X-Men book?
Okay. Yeah, I thought about this one a little bit. This one I remember, and so here's what I came up with, right? Because so on one hand, yes. Like every hardcore X-Men fan, I have my fantasy about like some book where the 6 characters I really like just sit around and talk about the things that I am very specifically interested in. Fine. We all want that book, but that's not what I'm going to pitch you.
Okay.
What I have actually, or what a couple of my favorite books of the last couple of years have been were one, X-Men. Is it House of 92 or 97? I'm not good with Roman numerals.
X-Men 97.
Right. The one where they basically did House of X, but within the X-Men cartoon universe.
Yeah.
That was really good. And then I also liked on Unlimited. And were both of these Steve Fox, if I'm remembering correctly? And maybe David
Steve Fox did the X-Men 97 one. Also, I love that one too. I like, oh, this is how they're going to do it.
And I really like the Unlimited one where Xavier like went to the Age of Apocalypse or something. I like what they did with that. So I would actually pitch something kind of similarly a little bit outside of continuity. And I would actually like to bring X-Men together with one of my other favorite loves. I want to write the X-Men versus Street Fighter like 25th anniversary tie-in series. I want to do like 4 or 5 issue miniseries, finally actually like telling the story of why the X-Men and the Street Fighters were together. And frankly, I haven't really come up with the details of it for the sake of this pitch, but let's pretend that I have some details and it's brilliant. The only part that I have thought about so far is that I would probably frame it as like, okay, because if you're familiar with the Marvel versus Capcom game series that X-Men versus Street Fighter was like the first game in, Cable did not show up until Marvel versus Capcom 2, and then kind of ran that game for a long time, one of your top 5 or 6 characters in that game. So I think what I would do is have like the Marvel versus Capcom 2 Cable come back to the past, to his past, to X-Men versus Street Fighter, and like catalyze a bunch of events, and then hopefully it would sell and people would love it, and then it would lead to the like Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter 5 issues, and then like Marvel versus Capcom 2, 3, Infinite.
Make a franchise.
I don't think we're ever gonna name Marvel versus Capcom 4, but that's just gonna make me sad if we talk about it. So that's what I'm gonna pitch. I want to finally write the X-Men versus Street Fighter series.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This one's a little bit fun. What 5 X-Men would you jump?
Okay,
like,
so
if you want to fight, like if you see them, it's on site. Like,
well, that was the question when I read it. Did you mean jump as in like throw hands, or jump as in like sexually jump?
Oh, I meant like assault. Like,
okay,
assault.
all right. Maybe this is saying more about I'm the one that's wearing the kinky Mario shirt, but like
fair enough.
All right, which 5 X-Men do I want to fight? Now, I'm gonna just say for a premise of this, like I don't have combat powers. I don't have a mutant weapon.
No, the powers are not a thing. You
right.
element as props.
So let's just pretend that like with all of these characters, we're gonna shoot a fair one, and despite the fact that many of them would probably disintegrate me, we're gonna have it.
Or let's say you have Darwin's powers. You have the powers of Darwin.
Okay, yeah. Let's say like I can even the odds at least within the confines of that fight.
Right.
Number one's gonna have.
Please, come on. No, go.
Okay, well, the order doesn't necessarily matter.
Okay,
number one, Jean Grey.
How would you do it? Why?
Right. This is what gets back to the thing where, like, she is the Phoenix Force, so realistically, it would be really hard, even within comic book land, to concoct a reason why I could fight Jean Grey. But, like, let's just say that there is some reason. Like, maybe, okay, here we go.
Be petty.
Corsair has arrived from space with a message from the Shi'ar, whoever the fuck, and the Phoenix Force has been torn asunder into two, and for some reason the other half of it is residing in me, and me and Jean Grey have to, like, battle it out with exactly we each have, how do you do that? Well, let's say we each have, like, 48% of the Phoenix Force, and we're fighting over the remaining, right, 4. Then I will fight Jean Grey. And for some reason I would win because it's my story. Fuck you.
I like it.
Number 2, Kitty Pryde, who I don't necessarily need the Phoenix Force to beat, but again, we're gonna have to concoct some storyline reasons why I can fight her, because, like, she's an invisible ninja or whatever. I get it, but, like, Kitty Pryde. And honestly, if you're watching this podcast and you need to ask why I want to fight Kitty Pryde, then I don't even know how you got here. So I'm not going to get into it, but Kitty Pryde
wants to fight Kitty Pryde. Everybody wants to jump her at some point.
Well, see, you either want to jump her in the way we're talking about, or you want to jump her in the way I was talking about. There is very much a contingency of X-fan who has a crush on Kitty Pryde.
Really? Ooh.
Oh, yeah. For one, Joss Whedon's entire career is built on having a crush on Kitty Pryde. So let's just start with that.
It's weird.
Let's just tell you something about Kitty Pryde fans.
Ew. I never thought of Kitty Pryde that way. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're like a cool cousin or something. You need to watch your mouth.
No.
You need to watch it, like, because when she used to say about the New Mutants, calling them the X-Babies, I wouldn't be surprised if they all tried to jump her. Like, oh yeah, we X-Babies, huh? These X-Babies about to get in your ass.
Again, Magic wants to jump her in the other way, so, you know, who's to say?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Liliana would be like, you know what? You my girl, but this is my squad.
Well, Ilyana's got the same problem. Ilyana's got the same problem as a lot of X-Men readers do, which is that she imprinted on Kitty when she was young, and then now that she's older and should know better, it's just too deep within her, and she can't, like, exercise this love of that woman. But okay. Number 3, Nightcrawler. Don't see it for Nightcrawler. Don't see it for Nightcrawler. No. That this is very much a modern era complaint, but I don't like this church cop Nightcrawler who's up on Mars. I haven't read that book because I have issues with it that I'm not going to get into, or have issues with, like, the earlier issues of the Cy Spurrier strain of that. So we're just not going to go there. But yeah, I don't like Nightcrawler's whole vibe. I don't like what he's doing. I don't like how he's walking around lecturing everyone else about dying and how they should, like, respect the sanctity of life. Yet every issue from, like, from the run up to AXC all the way through AXC up until Sins of Sinister, Nightcrawler was, like, looking for an excuse to die on a mission, like, 2-3 times an issue, which is good. Isn't that why he came back with the horns and shit? And then what's this I see about, why is Banshee Ghost Rider?
Oh, okay. Apparently he made a deal. He allowed, like, he's a host for the Ghost Rider for Mother Righteous. Basically, he's Mother Righteous's Exodus.
Why does Mother Righteous have a Ghost Rider? What?
Because, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It's
and
all about belief.
Is regular Ghost Rider still Ghost Rider?
Yeah.
But which one is it? Is it Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch or the Latino boy?
I think it's a Latino right now. I'm checking right now.
See, this is what I was explaining to you earlier. Like, there's some shit I know, and there's some shit that I just choose not to look at. And Banshee as the Ghostwriter and Nightcrawler's Church Cops, I didn't read any of that. No,
he does that. Like, I mean, I like Nightcrawler when he's a Lothario, when he's like just pulling. It's like, okay.
I mean, I get it. Yeah, it's not that he's not cute. I get it, but no. All right, number 4. Who would be number 4?
Dang, Nightcrawler. I didn't see that one coming.
I don't know why people don't, but it happens a lot.
I thought you would have said Colossus or something. Like,
no, okay. See, sidebar.
Yeah.
I think people need to lay off of Peter. I think that, and this also goes back to my thing where I think a lot of people have feelings for Kitty Pryde and they'd be mad at Colossus out of jealousy. Now, yes, I understand that at the time when teenage Kitty and Peter's like relationship started, she was underage and it was appropriate, inappropriate, yada yada. It was a different time, and like, well, right, and then they never like did anything while she was a child.
Never.
So like, I don't understand. And then, yes, in the more kind of like middle to modern period, then you start getting into some weird shit that Colossus has done. But honestly, I kind of feel like, well, okay, so for one, when Colossus in the 90s left the X-Men to join the Acolytes, that shit was fire. That was when I was like, yo.
All right, Alex, I wish I could hug you right now because no one saw that coming. No one. He came
I
up.
was surprised at the time.
Bishop.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
But I was like, yeah, because even and I was reading these issues live as they came out, so I was relatively young at the time. But even back then, for reasons that I couldn't quite articulate but feel very strongly about now, I was always on Magneto's side, like full stop. So when Colossus told Xavier to fuck off and went and joined the Acolytes, I was like, yeah, he's down. He knows what's up. And then like now they kind of have him being this like brainwashed villain, but I almost feel like the writers have felt like they have to respond to the fact that the internet doesn't seem to like Colossus and kind of like give them reasons to not like him. But I'm not with that. So no, not Colossus.
The author Rasputin is that dude. When he was with Excalibur, he was that dude.
Yeah.
He almost broke up a marriage by accident.
He very easily could break up my marriage, though probably not, because my partner would be into him as well. So no, we make it work.
Okay, last one.
Yeah. Okay, so number 4. I don't have a good reason for this, and I wouldn't have even thought it until I'm saying it out loud, but for some reason this sprung into my head. I don't like Cannonball.
What does Sam do? He ain't never done nothing to nobody.
He's racist.
He a gladiator by himself.
He voted for Trump. No,
I don't. Okay.
He used to be saying all kinds of wild racist shit back in the New Mutants day, and I know that makes me a hypocrite because I just said it was a different time for Peter, but it wasn't a different time for him, like bragging about his family being Confederate soldiers and like saying weird out of pocket shit to Moonstar. But like, honestly, it's not really even that serious. I just don't like his face, which is weird to say about a comic book character who doesn't even have the same face in every panel necessarily, let alone every issue. But just like, if Cannonball was a person, I just know I would not fuck with him. And is some of this jealousy because I have a crush on Sunspot? I don't know. Maybe I'm willing to own that if I think about it.
It's levels to this.
It could be.
Like, I don't. Maybe okay. I'm maybe one of those people who doesn't think that Sunspot and Cannonball are a couple at all, well, because
I don't think they are either. Right, because Cannonball is painfully straight.
No, and also the way I look at it is like this: when they were the New Mutants for a while, they were the only boys, so they had to hang out because you know girls at that age they're very cliquish. They don't. They don't talk about that.
at the time when I would have still identified as a boy, I did have more than one kind of Sam and Bobby type relationships with like straight boys where I kind of had a crush on them and they knew it and we were all fine with it. And it wasn't going to happen, although like maybe something happened when we got a little drunk that one time, but we were just like friends anyway. So it seems credible to me that Sam and Beto would have that kind of relationship where like Cannonball knows that Sunspot would fuck him because Sunspot seems like he would fuck kind of anybody. Like if he's into Kobach Neverheld, then there's no reason why he's not into Cannonball. I get it, but like just because of that, doesn't mean that Cannonball is into him.
Also, like I think all the New Mutants were kind of hooking up on the under. Like Danny, all right, people forget Danny was boy crazy. She like
yeah, I mean all Claremont characters are at least a little bit gay.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure Danny made out with Amara. I think she made out with Rain one time, but it was an accident. So that Rain's always kind of been weird about it.
Danny, she could do so much better than both of them. That is sad.
Oh god. And
but I mean, listen.
She made out with, but she really likes Cannonball. I thought
I have had those moments as well.
Hey, I love Danny. Danny's my when you say people liked Kitty, I'm like no, Danny. Danny was bad.
I like Danny. Like honestly, me and Danny are not super duper close, but like I like her and respect her. Like Danny is the one where like I'm never gonna text her, but when we both show up to the same event, I'm happy to see her and we'll probably hang out for a little while.
Yeah, y'all have a drink and be like, oh my god. And then, but then she'll have to go like, I gotta go. Some bullshit's about to happen. I gotta go. We'll talk.
Exactly right. On the way out the door, we'd be like, "Oh shit, yeah, I haven't seen you in so long. We should get together." And then like we never actually do, but every time we see each other, we say we're going to. Right.
Right. I love Danny. Yeah. Like Danny's all right with me.
Okay, number 5.
You got
Iceman.
Thank you, God. Take out that hate crime committing. He's like, how are you going to just jump a bunch of frost giants for no reason? It's like,
what did he do now? What happened?
Oh, in Marauders, in the last issue, he went over to the frost giant land and started to beat up on frost giants. They weren't doing nothing. They were just chilling. And
shouldn't those like, be his homies?
Huh?
Shouldn't that be his people?
No, well, it would be. But like they were like, why are you doing this to us? And he said, because I can. I'm like,
yeah, I know what you're referring to, right? Because Bobby was on like, see, now this is something that I only kind of know it from hearing people talk about it and from reading like previews of issues. So I'm sure I have the details wrong, but right. Wasn't it like in between X-Men and his solo series? He was on a like, I'm gonna go do power feats to like show that I'm an Omega type of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Where didn't he fight Bing Fang Foom or something? Is that?
Yeah, he did.
Right.
He was just looking. He was like that kid who learned karate or learned how to box, and now just going on just like running for fades. Like, that's not, like, why are you just jump? You're just jumping people now for committing hate crimes. What like? Yeah, I'm with you. Like he's supposed to get his ass whooped.
Well, and this is another one where like I'm not even really claiming to have a whole lot of like specifics from the text to support this. Bobby just kind of triggers the way I react to kind of every like cis white gay who looks like a Sean Cody model, if you know, you know, and like what my relationship is with that community. And as Bobby is kind of like the X-Men representative of that within the books, it kind of just makes me want to slap the shit out of him.
Yeah. Do it 2 hands. I get it. I get it. Just like Iceman, he used to be before the game. He was one of my favorite characters because he was getting bitter. He was starting to get this happened during the Chuck Austin run where
I was going to say when was before Iceman's gay years, because he was. I mean, it's famously been pointed out so many times that literally the first panel Bobby appears in, he's saying some gay shit. Yeah. So
all right, during Chuck Austin, because
sure,
the Chuck Austin era, there was an issue where North Star developed a crush on Bobby. And
right. It's makes no sense because he wouldn't really be into Bobby. It's just one of those where that thing that right. Well, or not even that, just more of and maybe this happens a little bit less now. I live in a very queer bubble, so I don't really know what straight people be doing. But that thing that you would get, especially in the early 2000s Will and Grace years, where if a straight person knew any two homosexuals, they would be like, oh, you and my friend from the office should get together because you're both gay. And not that was basically what the writers were doing at that time. And I actually kind of like Chuck Austin, so I'm not here to drag Chuck Austin.
Oh no, he did great. He did great stuff. It's just people don't like the Draco.
Right. That was definitely one where it's oh, these are our two gay characters, so obviously we have to give them some kind of thing. But personality-wise, I don't really see it. I think Bobby would be into North Star, but I don't think North Star would be into Bobby. And for anyone who's out there well, what are you talking about? Bobby's a shaved blonde twink. Everybody likes. I mean, yeah, but North Star would have access to so many shaved blonde twinks, but ones that were actually out of the closet, that I don't really see him being that interested in Iceman. He would just find him annoying.
And also, we kind of see that North Star's into black dudes.
Also that. Yeah, I don't. Right. So like I said, I buy Bobby being into North Star. Everyone's into North Star. That motherfucker's fine. But I don't really see North Star being that into Bobby.
I would dap him up. He'd be like Prince. What Jamie Foxx said about Prince. You can't look him in the eye because nah, man. I can't be in the same room with North Star. He be trying to look you in the eye and shit. And then you go, and then before you know it, it's 3 days later, you're drinking wine, listening to Frank Ocean.
Listen, if he wants to, I got nowhere to be.
Okay. I like you.
All right, that's fine.
All right, what era of X-Men would you have joined?
I mean, I feel like the cheat answer is Krakoa, right? Because that's obviously gonna be the most fun. But okay, let's take that out of the running. Right, let's take that out of the running.
Let's go.
So now I don't know how you would couch this in terms of era, but you know what X-Men team I would really like to join is the team from the Konami X-Men video game. That was Storm, obviously, Peter, Nightcrawler, who we just spoke of, but this is Nightcrawler back before I had specific problems with him.
Yeah.
Cyclops, and Dazzler.
This sounds like early. This sounds like Claremont.
Yeah, this would have been because Dazzler was in the Outback costume in the game. Yeah. And Wolverine. So this would have been kind of Outback, but the game wasn't based in any specific moment of the continuity. Right. And then I think also, I guess Kitty Pryde existed, but was she kidnapped in the game? Probably.
Yeah.
Jean Grey was not around.
How do you kidnap Kitty Pryde? You can just slip out of your hands.
Because she's incompetent, I guess. I mean, this would have been young Kitty, so I might have the plot of this game wrong. Returning to a theme, I'm not claiming that my recollections of this stuff are
Kitty Pryde. But if I was a kidnapper and I kidnapped Kitty Pryde, after hearing hearing talk, nope, bring it back. It'd be like the Boondocks episode where they brought back.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna have to listen to her talk, and Wolverine's gonna show up and fuck me up over this. Nah, just you let her out right now. I don't need that.
I don't need these problems. You know what? Like, nah, I'd rather owe money to Dr. Doom.
Yeah. So no, I would want to be on that team because like it's got some people that I like, not as many of the people that I don't, and it's like a smaller unit where I can kind of like form relationships and kind of make it work, but also still stand out in some sort of way.
Okay.
You know, like if you're on the giant size team, there's a lot of competition. If you're on like the Jim Lee team, there's a lot of competition. But like put me in as one more character in the X-Men arcade game. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
Who would be in your friend group?
Okay.
Like
good
question. Like y'all in the group chat.
Right. I mean, the short answer is the black girls. I mean, so Frenzy, Tempo, Bling, Blinka to the extent that she wants to be. Oya, I kind of like look at her with the eyebrow up sometimes, but like she's cool. We would be friends. Who am I leaving out? Necra, modern Necra, of course. Like
Necra's dope.
Like, right, Necra's but like Victor Laval Necra.
Yeah.
Right, like this. I mean,
Shard's dead. You can't bring that in Shard.
Storm would be on the thread, but she would never respond to the messages, so I would kind of forget that she was in there most of the time. But like, she would be on the thread.
And she'll say something, and you're like,
right.
Would you have any of the Iraqi?
Oh, absolutely. Well, see, and that's what I was about to say. Like, if you really, really, really want to keep it a buck, like I would then have a separate thread with like Genesis, Iska, Korra, but not weaponless Zen. And
really?
Korra, well, and also I understand that Korra is technically not a black girl, A, because she's not from Earth, and B, because like so okay, so you tell me actually, because I'm curious about this, right?
Go for it.
In my head canon, the Iraqi are basically like genetic equivalents of like African, Middle Eastern, like, you know, MENA region folks. So in my mind, I feel like Fisher King and Korra and Weaponless Zen, I kind of read them as like some kind of Middle Eastern. It's not important to be specific about like which country, but like, so kind of like Monet, in the same way that like I'll bring Monet in if she wants to. Korra of the Burning Heart is like in if she wants to be.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, low-key, also Mother Righteous. But like that wouldn't be a thread. We would, I would have a very difficult, sexually exciting, but emotionally tumultuous relationship with Mother Righteous.
I would be ready to blow up everybody's spot. Like Mother Righteous, I'd be like, say something. Say the wrong, you better not say nothing. Sit over there.
And again, you know, two things can be true. One, I actually don't really know a whole lot about that character because I haven't read any of those books that her story played out in. Like, I didn't read any of the Cy Spurrier's Church of X stuff. I didn't really read Sins of Sinister. I read some of the Storm issues and it made no sense to me whatsoever.
It really
I don't know exactly what like Mother Righteous's like deal is, but she's a baddie and like I like her vibe, so I feel like, you know.
Apparently, all right, she is the clone of Sinister's wife.
So okay, I was assuming she was actually a clone of Mr. Sinister, but like a femme clone
so
of Sinister, which honestly I was kind of more attracted to, if I'm gonna like keep it a buck.
I mean, he went the Fedimex right. He went the Fedimex right. He's like, boy. Yeah, just try making a girl just for fun.
Why not? It's a spectrum. It's all a construct anyway. Sinister.
You know what? Sinister can get this fade. Like all the bullshit he's pulled. I'm like, okay. Once again, I'm using Jamie Foxx. You know when he was talking about the club punch, and he like, bitch, you don't know me. I would do that every day. And
I mean, Mr. Sinister.
they would bring it up to the counters. They're like, "What are you?" I beat up Sinister. I punch him in the mouth every day, and everybody be like, I don't see what the big deal. I don't see what I don't
it's
see
not
anything
one of the
wrong.
laws. There's no law that says don't punch Mr. Sinister. So no.
Like Magneto will be like,
you can kill Mr. Sinister. You're allowed to kill other mutants.
Like everybody would laugh at it. Like this happens 3 times a week, and he keeps getting.
It's Sinister. He likes
just
it.
like punching the mouth, like to the fact that he's scared to come out the house.
It's a thing for Sinister, actually. He'd be into it.
Be like, no, we're not. No, you're not getting on this. Like, no, I'm just gonna up the ante.
Don't tell Mr. Sinister what to like.
I'll be like, I'll make you listen to Hope Summers.
Ooh.
Nobody wants to do that.
Ooh, can I go back and add or swap out? Who would I swap out?
I would punch Hope in the mouth too. Like she deserves it.
I will swap out Cannonball for Hope Summers.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Cannonball for Hope Summers. Because she's just like Jean Grey.
I don't know. No, I don't like her because she thinks that she's Cable's only student. Like,
well, right, and that's like she's self-righteous and self-centered in the way that Jean Grey is, and just like thinks that she's the center of the narrative of all times. And like, unfortunately, the text kind of supports that, but she doesn't know that she's in a comic book.
Right, and I mean, she's like, my daddy's the best daddy, and Cyclops like, I trained your daddy. No, my daddy's the best daddy. Like he knows everything. Like, oh, get off of his dick.
Yeah,
like
no,
the X-Force got off his dick years ago. She dick rides. I'm sorry, not in the good way.
That would be weird for their relationship. Yes, no.
Well, they're not really father and daughter.
No, yeah, I don't. It doesn't matter. It's enough of an adopted parental relationship, and he knew her as a baby. They can't hook up. Gross. And like, not only can they not hook up, but like, adult Hope couldn't have hooked up with like teenage Cable, for instance. It still would have been gross. Ugh. It would have been like less gross, I think, but still bad.
Yeah. You're right.
Still bad.
Your favorite villain.
Now,
like, well, the one that like resonates with you the most, like somebody like this, he really stepped his game up, or
sure. I mean, I generally believe that villain is an anti-mutant slur. So, so like for instance, my favorite character who many people call a villain is Magneto, of course. But I refuse to characterize him that way, and we're not going to discuss that.
No, not a villain. Just like the one who does not give a like he does not care.
But like favorite villain who I think actually is like a bad person and like deserves to be called a villain. I mean, it kind of has to be either Sinister or Sabretooth. And I know that these are both people that you're not supposed to like, but that actually is what makes them good villains, is that you do like them. Sinister sucks, but he's fucking hilarious in those meetings. And Sabretooth is disgusting, but you kind of want to fuck him. Like,
no, okay. Sabretooth is funny to me because everything he says about Wolverine is true. He says, you a bitch because you try to deny who you are. And then you want to talk about me. Who the fuck do you think? And the fact that like he remembers Wolverine's birthday every year and jumps him. It's just like, it's like, oh yeah, his birthday's coming. I'm about to whoop his ass.
My own immediate family doesn't always remember my birthday, and I don't always remember theirs, to be honest. So yeah, like so one of those two probably. I mean, like in thinking about the modern era in particular, I do kind of like. I actually do like the comedic new Nimrod as like a villain. I like Orcus conceptually, but I don't really vibe with the characters that much. I kind of think it's funny that they've got MODOK as an X-Men villain now, even though I haven't really read those books, but I like the idea of him being around. Or
it
like,
makes sense.
yeah, or like Abigail Brand, if we're gonna count her, which I think we can fairly count her as a bad guy by now. She's another one who I think is.
We haven't really seen her. We haven't really seen her. Oh wait, never mind. She orchestrated the Iraq Civil War. Never mind.
She did a lot of fuck shit. So yeah, Abigail Brand.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Those are probably three that I can think of off the top of my head. And then, yeah, like with so many of the other characters, you know, I think the thing that I appreciated the most about the Krakoa era, and one of the things that I think it really did to advance, even as there are times that it has kind of set some of the metaphor back, one of the things that it did to advance the metaphor is like really showing something that's always been true of X-Men, that like a lot of the bad mutants were really just in bad circumstances. And if given the opportunity to be more peaceful or productive members of society, they would, but they were just backed into corners doing what it is that they felt like they had to do. And that's always kind of been a theme of like, this is why to this day, when people are like, oh, the X-Men are bad guys now, why are the X-Men always hanging out with the bad guys now? I'm like, do you know any of these characters? Because almost every X-Man that you love started out as a bad guy for at least an issue or two and then got recruited. Like all of them are, right. That's nothing new. That has been going on like the entire time. All the way back to Polaris, Havoc, Mimic, Rogue, all the way up till now. Like none of that shit's new, because that has always been the point, that these people are not necessarily evil, they're just in bad circumstances.
Exactly. Like, you know, they never talk. One thing about the Marvel Universe I don't like is they talk about money. Like, you need money to survive. I always had this in my head canon that anytime one of the X-Men left the school, Xavier hooked them up. He got them a fly spot, got them some money, free orbit, and refer. Like, I when everybody says like Xavier ain't shit, I'm like, motherfucker, you're almost wealthy because of him. Stop playing.
But were they though? Like, I'm trying to think. I mean, most of the time, you didn't really know what people did during those periods when they like left the school and then came back. So I guess I don't know. But I see. My impression is more that like, if you go to Charles and say, Charles, can I have some money for XYZ? He'll probably give it to you without asking a lot of questions, because he can't be bothered to care. But he's not like proactively handing out allowances. He probably barely remembers who all the Academy X kids even are, let alone is like setting them up with stipends to live their life after they finish graduate school.
No, I don't think he did that. I don't think he did that with the new X-Men. I think he did that with like the early X-Men from like the 05 to like New Mutants.
Yeah.
And that's when like they started becoming more self-sufficient on their own.
Right.
Yeah, because
back in the day though, that's when Jean's family is supposed to be kind of rich also, right? Like maybe not like white rich, but they're not broke. Scott was adopted or it's like an orphan or whatever. Yeah. But he also never really left the school. Bobby, doesn't he have like an accounting degree or something? He like went to school to be an accountant, right?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Xavier paid for it.
Sure. But I guess the point is Bobby must have assumed at some point that he was going to need to like earn a living on his own.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
Right. And then Hank had like patent money probably. I'm sure he invented like the Marvel like a Foreman grill or something. I don't know. They're like a McCoy grill.
Well, he was smart getting those scholarships, and he was like LeBron. He was probably getting money like under the table for winning those games, for winning his high school games.
Yeah.
Dang. But like anytime you saw like a cab come through the school, I'm like, that's a lot of money to go to for a cab to, in the 90s.
Right.
Or like anytime, like
Right. Like a city cab all the way up to Westchester. Like that's it's not cheap, right?
Xavier was breaking them off. Like he
Right.
gave them, I'm sure he gave them like a not a gift card,
Or like let's keep it a buck.
up.
This is Charles. He was just rewriting their memories and sending them back home.
Dang.
You know he was. And it wasn't even about the money. It was just about like, I don't feel like looking for my wallet, so I'm just gonna make this man forget that we ever even have this conversation.
Damn. Okay. Oh yeah, gave him a free spot. Okay.
Right. It's not that he didn't have the money. It's not that he wasn't willing to give it to the cab driver. He just like couldn't be bothered to find the cash and would just be like, never mind. Take Cannonball back to New York.
And that's how billionaires stay billionaires, by saving their money.
Exactly.
But like, I don't know. Like, I always thought the X-Men
spend their money on things, not other people.
Okay. Who would you roast if you were at the Green Lagoon? You had a couple drinks in you. You're with your friend group, and then like you start talking a little reckless.
I mean, I feel like we've been doing that for this last 40 minutes or so, and I'm not drunk at all. But but okay, let's go with this. So, like, as a counterexample, Kitty, I wouldn't like roast, because see, the thing about a roast is that like you're cracking jokes and maybe it even gets a little mean, but you kind of do like this person, or like there's like some kind of humor behind it. Me and Kitty are just gonna have an argument. So no, it's not gonna be one of those. Who would I roast?
Like who your friends would you roast? Like
okay, see. And once again, plugging a different podcast. Sorry, not sorry. I recently did an episode of X of Words with Daddy Ash and our good friend Obella, talking about Prodigy. And yeah, I am a well-known Prodigy hater. And even though an important part of the resolution of that conversation was that I promised Obella that I would be like 10% nicer to Prodigy.
I did not know about this. You should go 200%. Let's see what happens.
Subscribe to the X of Words Patreon. You'll get an hour-long conversation between the three of us talking about this. Or if you subscribe to the regular feed, you get a 10-15 minute preview, something like that.
Yeah,
it's a different show, but it's some more black shit, so we can talk about it.
No, yeah. Oh, God, I got you.
Of course.
I would really want to roast Mystique and Destiny. Be like,
wow. Tell me more.
I'd be like, y'all want to be Charles and Eric so bad?
Do they though?
No, hear me out. They want to be the leaders of the mutant revolution.
Well, sure. I would rather. Compared to Charles, I would rather have them be.
Well, but the thing about also, like, they hate men. Like, we've seen that.
So do I.
Well, hey, I'm a man. Like, I get. Like,
you're okay.
Like Mystique, I'd be like, how does it feel to have to be in love with a woman and then have one red demon bust your shit open, made you fall in love, and then he drops you?
Listen, Mystique's romantic history absolutely has some questionable moments in it, but who among us cannot? Listen, if you don't have like one Azazel somewhere in your history, then you haven't really been out here in the streets. Like, you haven't been dating enough if you don't have like an Azazel somewhere.
You were sprung on Forge.
Forge is hot. What's the matter with that? I mean, like, I kind of I don't actually love like Bro Forge. I kind of think like the Jerry Duggan like Bro Forge, where like where he talks about doing squats, and like I think it's it's well written and kind of funny, but I don't love that as much as a character beat for Forge. But in general, yeah, Forge is sexy. I'm not mad at that
Forge
at all.
Is the homie. No, Forge is icebergs to me, because he proposed to Storm. She hesitated. He was like, bye. I'm like, That's some pimp shit. Oh my
I mean,
god.
that was a bold move, to say the least.
I was like, I'm like, Forge, you might thank you.
No,
that was a dumb decision, but you made it
also,
work.
Mystique, who had the good sense to throw Nightcrawler over a waterfall, but kept Rogue.
Yeah. Oh no. Like, that's another thing. It's like, how is the redheaded womanizing demon this much better a parent than you are? He grabbed the kid, gave it to his side chick, told her to raise it for him.
Listen, just because you have a baby doesn't mean you're ready to be a parent.
Yeah, I'm wanting to say, hey, Irene, did you know? Did you know it was gonna happen? Yeah, you do. You do.
Irene knew that it was all gonna work out. It was fine.
But
it's fine.
But when she got home, Irene was mad for a minute, like,
She knew.
How was Germany?
Irene knows who her wife is. It's fine.
Yeah, but she keeps trying to change her.
Well,
remember, Sins of Sinister's like my wife is a little crazy.
Once again, if you have not been in that relationship, you have not been in enough relationships.
Fair. And it's like, you want to talk about Charles? You kidnapped a child. Kidnapped.
What superhero team hasn't kidnapped any number of children over the years? Power Pack is all kids. Or the Champions, I guess not really kidnapped because there's no adults in that mix, but like, still.
He gave him an opportunity, he gave him a job.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Still child labor, and that's not legal.
But yeah, I would roast Mystique and Destiny.
Okay.
I would make a lot. I'd be like, Mystique, you touch me, you'll show that I'm right. And you don't want it. Yeah.
I would be careful though, because the problem is that Destiny will already have seen all of your jokes coming, and she will have like fire comebacks on every single one because she had time to think about that shit.
I'd be like, oh no, I'm gonna tag in my man Gambit.
She sees that coming too.
I'd be like Raven, how you gonna try to like catfish your daughter's boyfriend?
It would truly be impossible to roast Destiny because she's always gonna have the comeback on deck every time, and you're just gonna end up looking foolish.
Okay, just to make fun of Mystique, like how you give
a mutant Sinister. Ask Mr. Sinister. Sinister be trying Destiny at those meetings all day, and she always shuts that shit down. And Sinister, whatever you may say about his ethics, he's very clever.
Yeah, he is.
Usually you can't out clever Mr. Sinister on the spicy comments at the board meeting, but Destiny always has one for him.
Okay, I think I know the ultimate way. I don't have to say anything. I just do classic Martin to like go with the Mystique and Destiny. Just do like, I ain't talking to you. Like I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to you.
I mean, listen,
ignore her.
In this scenario, you're probably a mutant because you're on Krakoa, so I will see you in the resurrection queue right after you make this mistake.
No, I don't know. I just like, I'm not afraid of Mystique. I'm like no, we can do this right now. Like, like they can do this the easy way. I'm from East Oakland. I'll bust your ass.
Okay.
Like,
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna stand here.
No, Kurt. No, she be talking shit all day. How you gonna like Kurt? How you gonna let the woman who threw you off of a waterfall tell you anything?
Did that really happen? Is this another thing that I'm kind of okay? Because because there was that X-Men Unlimited issue where they finally like explained that was the deal. And don't I remember like Mystique dressed as a white lady, like throwing Nightcrawler over a waterfall?
Yeah, that did happen. That did happen. And Zazel, like, they added on to that with Xavier. He caught him and it backed out. So,
see, like, Mystique is another character. I don't remember if we were recording, we were talking about, but like characters who we kind of think or at least thought were black. I still kind of think that Mystique is like black on the inside. I generally think that Blue mutants, except for Kurt and Warren, are actually black. And it's weird to say that Kurt isn't if I'm saying that his mother is, but comic books, man.
Hey, Drake happens.
Yeah.
Drake happens. No. But Alex, that's all my questions. Thank you so much. You are awesome. I want to hug you. You're so awesome. Like
virtual hug.
Oh yeah.
Oakland, or next time you're in Chicago, we will definitely make it.
Chicago. I want to go to Chicago.
This is the time of year to be here too. It's the summertime. It's beautiful out.
Yeah. I hear those summer. No, that's those Chicago winters.
The Chicago winters are real, though. Honestly, this last winter really wasn't that serious. It snowed some, but it really wasn't that serious. The thing about Chicago winters, I'll put you on real quick. The thing about Chicago winters is that it's not that it's cold, although yes, it gets very cold on certain days. The reason that the Chicago winter is oppressive is because that shit lasts until early June. It's not so much that in February, yes, it's gonna be negative something 1 or 2 days, and it's gonna be real cold, and you got to stay inside, and that's awful. Fine, but the real oppression is when it's the third week of May and you're still wearing your heavy coat because it's still kind of winter. That's what the Chicago problem is. But right now,
it's like it's straight. Wow, it's stretched out.
See, now we're really getting into a different podcast, but winter is kind of drifting over the years, and when I was younger, it would maybe start snowing in early November and then go until March, maybe April. Now the snow doesn't even really start until Christmas, and then goes until May. We fucked this planet up. We fucked the planet up. We need to go to Araco yesterday because we fucked one up. It's a junker. It's done.
Oh, also
where I'm Namor, you was wrong for that shit. You went too far.
No, he's always been on that fuck shit. With I would roast Namor. I would say I would all right. No.
Because not only will he roast you back, then he will raise your whole nation.
No, and then what you do with Namor to get him on your side, you treat him like a really beautiful person. You ignore them. Be like, oh, hey, Namor, what's good? And you just turn it over here.
Right.
That's all. He'd be like, no. Oh, no, I like you.
Intellectually, I know you're right, but I would be a Namor simp. I would be like, okay, Namor, but
I know. I would be Namor's friend. I'd be like, Namor, you cool, but you need to get off those white women, bro.
I mean, true, but
why are you simping over Sue Storm? Sue Storm, Storm's right over there.
Namor's in the storm though.
No,
did he?
He's no, that's a flavor of the month for him. He's
yeah. Well, I mean, they all are.
Oh yeah.
Right. But okay, we're starting to wrap up, and then
right.
Digressions.
You make me want to start a Patreon.
Back to the outro.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex, for coming in. Thank you. I love having these conversations with X-Men fans. It's awesome. It brings light to my soul. I feel
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'll come back.
Yeah. Thank you. I would please. I got some stuff up. We'll talk. But this is 1407 Gary Malcolm Lane. I'll see you soon.
That's why he's the GOAT.